Hello, welcome to an overview of George. George is a signaling service that trades a number of different assets, including SPX, SPY, QQQ, IWM, and RUT. On the dashboard, you'll see the things that he's watching. So for example, right now he's watching SPY for 690 calls that are in the money. And then you'll see what the confidence here is, or if there's any weekly profiles that have been aligned. Any institutional volume spikes, so you can see that there's a 1.8x increase in the volume compared to the day before. And then any gamma levels here. So these are positive, but we're in a bearish trend. And this is the Monday opening for the prior week. So this is how the dashboard looks. And on the top here, you'll also see cards if he opens or closes a position. For example, you might open a position or close a position. This is just an example, but this is how that would work. And then you can take them out if you don't want to see them for whatever reason. On the right, you'll see the portfolio tracker. So this is his total balance. He started off with $2,000 in the 0DD account. And then swing accounts also with $2,000, and you'll see the 20 most recent trades here on the right. George is fundamentally a signaling service, so his goal is to figure out where the money is moving and play those goals as much as possible. And he'll alert everything on the dashboard. So if you are interested in a particular ticker, you can search for it or find anything with calls or puts, depending on what your preference is. And that's how the dashboard fundamentally works. On the trades page, you'll see his entire history. So for example, he bought a number of ASTS and Rocket Lab puts. Some of them were profitable, others were not. And then you can go into one of these details and just better understand exactly what he did, what he bought, and why he closed that position. So in this case, even though the trade was directionally correct, he got stopped out on the liquidity hunt that the market makers had put together. We also have this rotation page, so we can better track where the money is moving from indices. So we do index, sector, stock. And then we can figure out exactly where the money is moving and give that information to George. A lot of this information we don't frankly see or we don't have access to, so we want to build an algorithmic way of doing this. And then you can also see within this what the phase is for that rotation, where that money is going and how much. And then when George has picks, for example, every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 9 a.m. and at 3 p.m., we generate a number of different signals for George to take into consideration when he wants to open trades for the next trading day. We also have an analysis page. So this is where he'll put all of his decisions for different assets and what he's buying, how discomfort or how uncomfortable he is, what the market structure looks like. Right now he's watching 2660 puts for RUT, for example, or SPY 691 calls. And this is the premium, and the structure right now is mixed. So he's not going to buy anything right now because there's a different kind of alignment between zero dated options and weekly profiles. And then you can also see what he's currently watching. That'll both show up in the navigation as well as in the watching signals on the analysis page. Confluence is another way of looking at this data so we can better understand exactly what he's seeing behind the scenes. So he's got a number of different signals that he's watching from pre-market, from the week before, the day before, and the month before. And then this is the advanced system that we have here for accumulation, manipulation, distribution. And he's basically saying there's a lot of low volume right now, and there's bearish signals, and there's also bullish signals. And he's conflicted here. So there's a base premium of 15% on the discomfort side. As long as it hits 50% or higher, he will try to take that trade as long as there's no blockers here. For example, right now there's a B- grade. So he's trying not to play anything below B+ rating. And his whole goal is to maximize as much profits as possible given the size of the portfolio that he has. For us, RSI trend lines, we need a minimum data set here for signal. So a lot of times on Monday, it's not populated. By midweek, it will be. And then we also have ICT signals. So this will go through the last day, the previous week, the previous month, and then figure out exactly where that bullish structure, bearish structure lines up and where the liquidity is for him to watch and better understand for sweeps. So you can see high time frame premium and discount arrays, liquidity pools, the current grade for the setup. So right now there's no institutional smart money time, retest zones, momentum, or volume displacement and premium discount. So he's not going to take a trade on SPY. And then just a very dumb and simple summary for him to better understand and for us to understand exactly what he's thinking about. And then the expected weekly range, so 681 on the downside and 704 on the upside. So in theory, if you were, someone who wanted to take these positions, you could hedge with a 680 put for Friday and then a 705 call for Friday as well. So that's how I've been playing it. I just look at the weekly levels and the expected moves, buy both of those contracts on Monday open, and whichever side is winning, you just double down on by Wednesday or Thursday. That's ultimately how I use this data. On the week ahead, this is just him better understanding. And for our premium members, you can also put in your own tickers for analysis. But on the week ahead, this is just for us to better understand where the strikes are, the target is, the risk and reward. You can see that there's higher reward on the bearish side. And then he'll go through all the different stocks and indices that he has to his disposal. So you'll see things from SPY, Tesla, NVIDIA, Apple to 300 other tickers here. And you can filter these out by bearish, bullish, neutral, or see them all. And you can also break these down by different types of categories. So you might have finance, for example. He's bearish on JPM, but bullish on KRE. That could be worth something. So you can just watch exactly what the triggers are. And what he's saying are the displacement zones or the liquidity zones that we are expecting market makers to sweep before reversing course. So that's the week ahead in a nutshell. And then swings, again, you can add your own analysis for different assets. So for example, I might be able to add, let's say BABA, for example. This is one of the tickers that I've been watching. And this will be queued up for him to do some analysis. It'll happen realistically within the next 4 or 5 hours. But sometimes it's really fast depending on how much capacity he has. So for this week, he's watching Google calls with 100% confidence, NBIS calls with 100% confidence, CRM calls with 100% confidence, and a number of other puts. Now, we don't have to take all of these. I just take all the ones with 100% confidence, and usually they're pretty right. And again, George is a confluence tool. He's not there to just give us the data. It's really for us to better understand where the market might be moving based on the structure that exists in the market and the liquidity levels that we see in the market as well. For flow, these are powered by Unusual Whales, so you'll see a number of different flow has been hitting on the back end. A lot of these are from Friday and Monday morning at 9:30 a.m. And then we can also go into George's picks, see which ones he prefers over anything else. So at 8:16 a.m., our KG puts for 30 or 25 days out looks pretty tempting. So we'll see if this ends up becoming a trade that George takes. But it is something that you can also use for your own confidence. If you're already bearish on ARKG or EFA, then great, you have more signals here to better understand exactly where the market might be moving. And then lastly, we have GOM exposure. We're also looking at, giving George as much confidence as data and wherever possible to see exactly where the market makers are positioned. And so you'll see a reaction at 689 on SPY and 690 on SPY. And then on the downside, you'll see a reaction to the upside at 687 and 86. So that's exactly how that's been working. So that's an overview of George. If you have any questions, let me know. But before I wrap up, I wanted to show one more thing. We do have free Rig 30 lottos, so he'll try to find something sub $1 basically whenever 330 hits. And here's an example of what that might look like. And then we also have challenges. So we're doing a $500 starter challenge here. The whole goal is to figure out, does our strategy work for smaller accounts or is it just for $2,000 or more, right? And we're hoping that this is something that's profitable. Challenges and lottos are free for everyone to try out. And the rest of it is behind a paywall. And just before I wrap up, I want to show that we're also running a promotion right now for welcoming people to George. 70% off any plans, whether it's monthly or annual, it really doesn't matter. They're both discounted 70% until February 13th. So that's a quick overview of George. If you have any questions or comments or concerns, let me know. But overall, again, this is a signaling service to make sure that we can better understand where market structure is and use that for confluence for our own trades. Thanks.